Welcome to the Hire Truckers Podcast, where we interview experts in driver recruiting. We provide industry insights, marketing trends, and motivation to help you level up your recruiting game. Welcome to the Hire Truckers Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Craddock, and today we have Luke Wimberly with McElroy Truck Lines. I'm super excited to have Luke on today. He's got 18 years in the transportation industry and just a lot of different experience in different departments, heading up different operational roles. Right now, he's the director of operations at McElroy Truck Lines, and they have a little over 500 trucks, or closer to 600 trucks, and they're predominantly flatbed. And so, Luke, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Aaron. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so the first thing I wanted to talk about, like we were talking about a little bit on our pre-call, is you're like, I love transportation. So walk me through that. Like, why do you, like, what's exciting about transportation? Why do you love transportation?
You know, I try to figure out that answer, and it's kind of hard to put a finger on it. It's something different every day. There's not one particular reason I can't point to it and say, oh, I like it because of this. I just like it. It's something different. And, you know, when you pass a truck on the road and that truck, you know, it has freight on it. Everybody's pretty aware of that goes up and down the road. You don't really realize what all it takes to move that freight from point A to point B. And there's so much that goes on behind the scenes of this, you know, other than just what's behind the steering wheel. And that makes it exciting. So, you know, the safety aspect, maintenance, recruiting, you go into operations, the dispatch, the loading, the planning, the rates, the contracts. It's amazing. You get into insurance, accounting, the whole kit and caboodle. It's just, there's so many aspects of it. And I just find it fun.
Mm-hmm. So you like the challenge of it?
Love the challenge of it. From anything, and I've worked in a lot of departments throughout the years, but anything that I can get my hands on that's a challenge that I consider to be a challenge, that's what I like about it. And it's pretty much never the same challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I've enjoyed it as well. Like, I've been in the industry not quite as long. I've been in it 14 years, and it's always a unique challenge. And I'm not even dealing with that many different departments. Like, I'm just on like the marketing and advertising side primarily, and yeah, just the cycles, just even the complexity of the cycles that we've been through, and the cycle we're going through right now, and how it's different by freight type. So I say cycle, like flatbed's going to feel it differently. So the next question I wanted to dive into is, can you, like working in operations, multiple different groups and departments that you're involved with, like, can you control turnover, or is that kind of out of your control?
No, it's very much so in my control. It's very much in operational control. You know, I will tell you and share with you that to control turnover or to control retention, either way, whichever way you choose to look at it, whether you want to retain them or whether you want to turn them over, all that starts in the beginning in the recruiting process. So you need a good recruiting process. I will tell you that, but I will also share with you operations is a huge part of turnover. Let me explain why. If retention or turnover starts in your recruiting department, then you have to look at it that everybody in your organization, whether it's a recruiter, someone in safety, maintenance, dispatch, load planners, whatever the case may be, payroll, benefits, doesn't matter. Everybody that picks up the phone for your organization is a recruiter at the end of the day. Doesn't matter. When you pick that phone up and you say, hey, Aaron, how may I help you? I'm in such and such department with XYZ company. You're recruiting that person every time. And I say that because we're in the people business before we're in the freight business. And that's the way I view the whole organization. Before we can haul any freight, before we can do anything, my job is dependent on how I treat you as a person. I don't care if you're in recruiting and you're talking to advertisers, if you're in maintenance and you're talking to mechanics or you're talking to vendors, if you're in dispatch and you're talking to drivers, wherever you are, your job is dependent upon someone else and how you treat that person and the relationship you build with that person. So having said that, dealing with a driver is no different. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like this. An industry pays when an industry pays. And let me explain that a little bit. So it doesn't matter what you go into. My wife has been a nurse. My wife is now a teacher. She's a first grade teacher. And I just look at her jobs that I know nothing about those jobs. I'm not good at either one of them. But if she wants to do just regular general nursing, then she's going to make so much money. If she wants to make more money in that field, then she has to do something special. So if she wants to make more money in the medical field, then she has to do something. She has to go into a nurse anesthetist, or she has to go into, a specialized nurse, a pediatric nurse, or whatever the case may be. But if she doesn't, if she just stays in general nursing, it doesn't matter where she goes. It's only going to pay so much. Truck driving is no different. Drivers are no different. We're a flatbed company. Flatbed is going to pay what flatbed pays. Same for van, reefer, tanker. If you want to do something different, you got to go somewhere and do something different. You got to haul OD. You got to haul, permitted loads. You got to just whatever the case may be. So at the end of the day, a flatbed driver is going to make what a flatbed driver makes, right? If McElroy is paying less or paying more than the industry standard, then why do we have turnover to begin with? Right? If a driver moves from us to a company that's lateral to us, there's a reason behind that. It's not pay. The driver may ultimately believe it's pay. People believe it's pay. People chalk it up to pay. But people leave people. They don't leave jobs. Right? So if I'm going to be a flatbed driver and I'm going to drive for McElroy or PNS or TMC or Montgomery or whoever, doesn't matter. They're all going to pay about the same. There may be a few pennies, a couple bucks more, but they offer different things. One company may offer to stay out more. One company may offer to be home more, right? But at the end of the day, what can you truly offer a driver that nobody else offers him? And to offer them a personal relationship is hard to find. And if you can offer a driver a personal relationship with a dispatcher, personal relationship with the operations manager, personal relationship with the load planner, with the safety guy, everywhere he goes or she goes, they have a personal relationship, that is gold. Because how many of us wake up every day, doesn't matter what industry you're in, they don't like their job. Why don't you like your job? Because you don't like the people you work with. You don't like this one person in the office. You don't like this one person on the field, right? So operationally, when I speak operationally, the whole operation, recruiting, safety, everything, if I can get people to believe, to build relationships, if I build relationships with my people, with the people that report to me, the dispatchers, the recruiters, everybody, if they realize they have a relationship to me and I make it an enjoyable place to work, that goes out into the fleet. They then treat their drivers better. You treat your drivers better. It's like, you know what? My buddy over there at XYZ Trucking Company, man, he's making a little bit more than me. But, I'm kind of loyal to old Luke there, So when we go to build loyalty, people don't want to leave. They don't want to leave. I don't want to leave someone I have a personal relationship with. It'd be like me saying I want to leave my marriage. I have a perfectly happy marriage, 14 years, no issues. We have 2 beautiful kids. I'm just going to leave my marriage for what? I got to have a reason to leave. I don't want to leave. I have a personal relationship with my wife. Same thing here. If I can get you to believe that you have a personal relationship with me and truly mean it, because it can't be fake, you're not going to want to leave. Therefore, your turnover stays lower.
Mm-hmm. Have you been able to lower turnover like over the course of being at McElroy?
I've been in director of operations role. April was a year, so year and a half? We've lowered turnover 5%.
Awesome.
Now, I would like to chalk that up. So, freight's been different. I hear a lot of things, freight's slower, drivers don't move, whatever caption you want to put on this, right? But at the end of the day, we've been fighting the same freight market for the last 2 years. Rate decreases, volume decreases. Not a lot's changed, right? Freight's a market, so it's going to have its peaks and valleys, just like any market. We're not at a peak. We're far from a peak, right? Interest rates are sky high, the whole kit and caboodle. So things continue to be on a decline. But for the most part, over the last year and a half, things have kind of remained stagnant. I tell everybody, it's like 2 years ago, we went into the slow time of the year. We go into the new year, Christmas, New Year's, all that. It's like we never ever come out of it. We've been fighting it for 2 years. So we've been doing a lot of changing of culture at McElroy. We're kind of getting rid of the old mentality of, Aaron, this is trucking, man. If you don't like it, hit the open road. We'll find another one. Drivers are the most important asset your company has. Hands down. The most important asset. And if you don't take care of that asset, at the end of the day, nobody gets a paycheck. You book all the freight you want, fix all the trucks, train all the people, recruit all the people, spend all the advertising money. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if that freight doesn't get delivered, there's only one person that can deliver it, and it's the person that holds the license, the federal license to deliver the freight. If they don't deliver that freight, nobody draws a paycheck. That includes your owners, includes your operations managers. Everybody else is nothing more than a cost to the company. And until you get that mindset, until you get that right, you're going to have high turnover. If you look at it as a driver as an expendable asset, you're done. Turnover is going to be high. But when you truly realize that's the person that makes the money. Hey, and I've heard that argued from many different views, right? So from many different points, many different people have argued that. Well, the most important thing is when the customer pays you. Okay, well, I agree with that. But you got to get the freight there first before they pay you. Well, most important person is the mechanic because he fixes the truck. Well, I agree with that. But we can't get any money to the mechanic, and he's not going to work for free until we deliver the freight. So however you want to look at it, when the person with the license delivers the freight, then everybody gets paid. So you can operate on what other means you need to, but that's how it works. And you got to realize that.
So how do you incorporate that driver first just mentality with everybody having a conversation with a driver on the phone across all these departments?
You have to have conversations with people, and it all starts internally. It all starts with leadership, right? I mean, the first thing we have to do is we have to get everybody to buy into everybody here is a leader. You can put whatever title you want on me, on a McElroy, on the owner of the company. It doesn't matter. Dispatcher, the maintenance person. What are we doing at the end of the day? What is our number one job? At the end of the day, let's take away all the fluff. What's your number one job? What are you here to do? When you walk in these doors every morning, you park your car, walk in the doors, you sit down, you boot your computer up, put your headset on, whatever the case may be. What's your ultimate goal? What's your job? Define your job in just a few words. Take care of the driver. Driver support. Driver support. We're here to support a driver at the end of the day. That's what we're doing. Because let's be honest, if I book this freight, I'm not going to do anything with the freight. I mean, I can't take my Toyota and do something with it, right? If your safety, who are you keeping safe? Yourself? You scared you're going to fall out of your chair? I mean, what's our job at your driver support? And you have to have conversations with people, and when you run across someone and they say, well, I told that driver off. I told him how it was going to be. He told me he wasn't going to go with that load. I love running across situations like that because I like to ask the person, well, tell me more about that. Why is that? And then we keep talking and we have those kinds of conversations. Well, tell me more about that. Okay, now we got that driver. You got him to go deliver that load. Now, how do you feel? Oh, man, it made me feel great. And you really dive into it. you question them, and then ultimately you turn around and you say, now the driver quit a week later. Did you really accomplish your goal? Did you really support the driver? Or did you just make the driver do what you wanted to? Now you got to replace that driver. And we can get into those conversations in a minute or however you want to do it. But, now we have to replace that driver. What did you just cost the company? And,
Yeah.
you share information. And that's one of the things that I like to do is I like to have meetings every week. I try to do it without fail. I don't always get to, but I like to host meetings every week and include all team members. And we talk about these things and we share. We're open. We're open with the information. And I think that's the number one key is being open and honest with the people. I'm saying, hey, this is how much money we spent. This is where our missed opportunities were. And we're not putting this out there to bash anyone. We're not dropping names and saying Aaron did this, Luke did that, whatever. We're just sharing information. Hey, this is how much revenue we made this month. This is how much money we spent this month. How much deadhead was this month. When I started bringing metrics to the table at McElroy, the mouths that dropped open and the eyes that opened up, like people really started caring about how they treat their job because they realize, okay, what I'm doing is really affecting the bottom line here. Ultimately, what I'm doing is really affecting what I get paid at the end of the day. Because if the company doesn't make money, then I can't get paid. But in order for everybody to get paid, what do we have to do? We have to take care of the driver.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that simple.
Yeah, you started getting into it, but what's the cost of like losing a driver? Let's say you do, dispatch just says, hey, you have to do that no matter what. I don't care about your family, that problem you're having, get the load done. And then you lose that driver. Like
That's right.
like, does that impact other drivers? Like, what's the cost of that?
I had someone with a light bulb moment several months ago. She said, well, the story goes like this. All right, the driver was going to quit. And the person came up to me and they said, I got that driver to bring that truck over here. And I said, that's about 500 miles. She said, yeah, that's right. Can you bring it over here? And I said, okay. And, they won the victory. This person won the victory. At the end of the day, the driver abandoned the truck because there was a place he could have took the truck about 100 miles from their home. And, I let the situation kind of play out. And I said, so tell me more about this driver that you got them to bring the truck over here. How did that work for you? Well, we had to go get the truck because the driver abandoned the truck. Okay. What did it take to do that? Well, we had to get two people in a car. They had to go down there. I said, okay, so we had to pay two people to go in a company car down there. We lost 2 days of driver revenue. So we lost $1,000 per driver for two drivers. So that's $2,000. We lost a tank of gas in the car. Now, where did the truck wind up? Did it come back over here 500 miles? Well, no, we took it to our other terminal 100 miles from there. So it wound up going 100 miles back. So we'll just put the cost of the truck at $2 a mile just for easy math. So now we spent $200. So now we're up to about $2,500 to recover this truck. What if we had gotten the driver to take the truck up there? What would that have cost us? Well, about $200. Okay. Wouldn't we have saved the drivers we wouldn't have lost revenue on two more trucks. We wouldn't have lost revenue on having to pay the drivers to go get the truck. And that the driver that quit could have helped us out. So that's money lost. You see where I'm going with this? They were like, yeah, I do. I said, so wouldn't it behoove us to say, hey, driver, if you're quitting, why don't you just take it right up here? Instead of trying to win the situation. All right, if you want to win, then try to keep the driver on board. Don't try to force the driver to take the truck where you want it. Let's get the truck as close as we can. Let the driver help us if they're going to quit anyway. But to answer your question about hiring a driver, for easy math, let's do it like this. if your truck's making $1,000 a day, that's $5,000 a week on one truck. Now, keep in mind, I know trucks are not making that right now. I get it, but we're just doing easy math so we can understand how it works. Whether a truck makes $600 a day or $800 a day, that's neither here nor there. $1,000 a day, $5,000 a week. If I lose a driver and I sit a truck for 1 week, that's $5,000. So let's do the math real quick. $5,000 for 1 week. If I lose 100 drivers in a year and every one of those trucks sits for 1 week, this is all hypothetical, I get it. That's $500,000 in lost revenue for that truck to sit 1 week. Now, if I have to replace that driver, depending on your structure and whatever, if I have to replace that driver, if I get an experienced driver, I'm going to probably get one cost per hire. Let's just put $1,000 on it, right? I think cost per hire right now is pretty low due to the market. But let's just put $1,000 on it. Or during COVID, we was paying $2,000 and $3,000 per hire. But so we already got $500,000 for 100 drivers. If I'm hiring experienced drivers, I'm getting $1,000 cost per hire. We got orientation in this. We have hotels. We have travel expenses, all these different things. So to really get this driver back on the road, to get a driver back on the road, it's probably going to be around $2,000. Right? If you're training students, it could get more than that. McElroy likes to train, but if you're training students, it could be more than that. It could be $10,000 by the time you put someone through training. You pay a mentor, you do all these different things. But just for ease, let's go $2,000 per hire. $2,000 per hire. We had to get 100 of them. That's $200,000. Just right there. That's $700,000. I mean, in no time. In 1 year, assuming you only lose 100 drivers, assuming they only sit for 1 week, and assuming your cost per hire is only $2,000. That's assuming you get a driver to get in the truck and be in the truck within a week. That's best case scenario, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So what about now? Let me ask you this. And when we have these meetings once a week, these are the kinds of things I like to talk about. I like to discuss. Because now you say, well, I told that driver and I made him go get that load because we're a forced dispatch company. Okay, great. But if that load only paid $1,000 and you would have made $1,000 total revenue, and I allow a driver to sit or miss a load, I lost $1,000. If I lose a driver and the truck sits for a week and I replace him because I forced him to go get a load, instead of only losing $1,000, now I'm losing $7,000. Now I'm not saying understand me. There's a difference. I'm not saying let the tail wag the dog, right? We're gonna run into problem children, and that's what I share with everyone. Look, we're going to have problem children, and we're going to deal with those. That's why we're here. But if a driver's legitimately got a concern or legitimately has an issue, help the driver with the issue. That's what I'm saying. Not force everybody's hand just because you want to be right. You have to let your pride down. You have to let the need to be right down. Let it go. It's okay. Well, that driver wasn't there at 7 o'clock. He was there at 8 o'clock. Does it matter? If you didn't have a hard appointment, does it matter at the end of the day? Could you say, man, look, Aaron, I understand you had some hard times. Hey, tell me what's going on. Why'd you show up at 8 this morning instead of 7? Well, Luke, me and the wife had some trouble last night. I didn't get no sleep. I woke up a little late this morning. Okay, well, hey, Aaron, look, man, if I can help you with anything, let me know. I hate to hear that about you and your wife. Look, while we're talking, I need you to understand delivery times are important. I need you to be there at 7 o'clock on Monday morning. You think you could help me out with that? Absolutely, Luke. Okay, appreciate it, Aaron. Instead of having to be right and bulldog these guys into doing what you want them to do, taking care of the driver, building relationships, having someone that thinks and believes they can depend on you as a person. And man, I really have that relationship with Aaron, and he doesn't force me to do anything, and he helps me whenever I have a problem. That retains drivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something as simple as like you're getting to the same thing. Like you're still able in that scenario to ask for what you need. Like, hey, next time, can you make sure you get here at 7? But you're assuming positive intent. That's the phrase I like there.
There you go.
Like assuming that they had something come up, that something's going on. Like I had a couple things come up in the last couple days with different people on our team that like may not have like assumed positive intent, and so I'm constantly like coaching on that of like, hey, if somebody doesn't show up on time or doesn't get you a deliverable on time or anything like that, it's just like hey, what did you have going on? Like, I know you said you were going to get to me at this time, but just assuming, because I find that almost anytime somebody has like a work performance issue, there's like 10 things going on. It's not just the factors you see. Like there's a lot of times personal stuff going on, challenges, like there's other work challenges. They may have just gotten in an argument, and I mean, you never know what people have going on. So I love that. That's what I hear in that, is like assuming positive intent and like framing that conversation with that person that showed up late.
It's kind of like this to me. I think about it like this. It's easy to tell a driver, you've got to do this, or you need to do that. Use the harsh language on them. That's easy to do because you don't have a personal touch. So I'm sitting here looking at you right now, looking at you in the eye, and I'm saying, if I had to tell you and be something and be mean to you right now, it's really hard to do. Mm-hmm. But if we put a divider between us, be it a computer screen, a phone, or whatever the case may be, it's a whole lot easier for me to say, look, man, you need to go do this right now, versus looking at you in the eye. I tend to not be that aggressive. If you don't believe it, just, look at all your socials on your social media, right? All these keyboard warriors, right? There's so many people, they wouldn't say half of what they say on the internet if they had to look that person face to face. Mm-hmm. And stand there right there in front of them. They would not say it. And I think a lot of times in trucking, we get that way because the people we manage, the people we lead, are masked by a phone and a computer screen. And if that driver was standing there in front of us, we wouldn't say half of what we say. So we have to try to add a personal touch that's very hard to add. And people need to be coached on that. People need to understand that. If we can do that, if you can add that in there, like I'm going to treat this person like they're standing here with me and like I have to face them face to face, how would I get this person to do what I need them to do and not be harsh? Because I know if I'm harsh, it could create some bad reactions for me, right? Like I'm not a tough guy. I'm not a fighter. So if this guy wants to punch me in the face, I'm not going to let that happen. And be nice to him. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the way I think about it. And it's easy to do. It's easy for people to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find it's most often in like my written communication or a quick call, like when I'm impatient, that I don't do that framing of even like, hey, I hope your week's going well. And then like, here's the update. That just goes straight for the kill of like, here's my issue. You should do this differently. Or it's so funny. Like even when I type an email, like internal to our team, just like I always have to go back and add at the beginning, like I hope your week's going well, like just some positive, like soften it, like we're having a conversation, and just that written. And so like if your dispatchers are texting the drivers, or the different like when they're stopped, and it's just always, you have to be cognizant of that. Today's sponsor. Do you hire truck drivers in hard to fill areas, or do you need help creating efficiency in your recruiting department? You're not alone. With 50 plus years experience, Trucking Clicks specializes in data-driven strategies, industry-leading customer experience, and custom solutions that'll get you to your goal. Trucking Clicks is your go-to place for high-quality, direct leads at scale. Visit truckingclicks.com or call 512-982
0816 today.
What drives you to improve things? Because I hear a lot of things about like improvement and culture. Like what drives you to improve things at McElroy?
I'm a result-driven person. I don't know. Maybe it was the right way I was raised. You don't halfway do anything. If you're going to sweep, then you sweep with all your might and you get every little piece of dirt that you can. If you're going to sweep, then, move things out of the way and sweep under and around. Don't sweep around things. You sweep under things and you move things, right? And I was raised that way. So result-driven is what drives me. It's not money. It's not tangible things. It's really not. It is strictly results. When I do something, I want to be the best at it. I want to do the best job that I can do. And for me to have to go in somewhere and make a change really drives me. And to see the results, so how do I go into a situation and change it altogether? What's the ultimate goal? Okay, how do I achieve that ultimate goal? Well, let's set a lot of little goals. Okay, and then we start seeing results. So I get a little result, I get a little result, I get a little result. But before you know it, you look back 35 years and you have a huge change, all because of little results. So that's what drives me, is all the small, little bitty results along the way. If I can get someone to answer the phone different, if I can get someone to smile when they're talking on the phone, right? So if I sit here and I really sound like this, and you're looking at me, right? I'm not smiling, but when I smile, my voice picks up. You can really hear a smile. So if I can get someone and coach them along and say, hey, smile when you're on the phone, because you can hear that. And I prove it to them, and I show them, and I share with them all these different things, then it makes a difference. And that one person's turnover goes down over time because they're smiling on the phone. They're building relationships. Let's get another one, So it's all the little results for me because I'm a result-driven person. I don't have to have the major change overnight. I want small changes along the way because eventually you're going to have a big change.
Mm-hmm. I love that. You can hear a smile. You 100% can. And it's just crazy. Like, it also just smiling changes the way you feel. Like, if you even like force a smile when you don't feel good and you're having a hard day or a hard moment, like it just, yeah, but I don't think I've ever heard it phrased exactly like that. Like, I really like that. Like, you can hear a person smile.
That's right. You can hear them frown just as much as you can hear them smile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you don't believe it, talk to your loved ones on the phone, right? Yeah, mm-hmm. Call my wife. Hey, how are you doing, baby? I'm fine. What's wrong with you? I mean, you can hear it. You know when that person's down and out.
Mm-hmm.
Or they call you and hey, let me tell you something. I got the greatest news today. Oh, really? What? Well, share that with me. Tell me about that, because sounds like your day went really well. Because you can hear it.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Is there, as we kind of wrap up, is there anything else, Luke, that I should have asked or we should have dove into a little bit deeper?
I don't think so. Turnover, culture change, I would say, is big in the industry. I've heard a lot of things being in the industry. I started out working shipping docks and loading trucks and whatever the case may be there. So I started out physically touching a truck. Now here I am in an office behind a computer and a phone every day, leading people to ultimately achieve whatever goal you want to set for a company. But, over the years, I've noticed a lot of things. I hear a lot of excuses. And, well, we have a driver shortage. Well, we have, it's the quality of the driver, right? It's just whatever the reason, whatever the case may be, why turnover's up, why turnover's down, why drivers are quitting or why drivers are saying things about companies. And at the end of the day, I think it's all hogwash. I I really do. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when I was coming up, go ask my dad. My generation was the worst generation to walk the face of the earth. And I bet his generation was to his dad, and his generation was to his dad. People don't change. You have to adapt with times. You have to change with times. If your organization is not constantly striving to get better, to make those changes, remember, it's done differently. It's not the end of the world. It's just done differently. So how we do something today is different from what we used to do way back when. Prime example, I'm just thinking, today we use phones without cords, right? Because it's better, it's more efficient, it's easier. When I was a kid, man, you walked from the kitchen to the living room and in the hallway, and you tried not to get wrapped up in the cord. Same thing's happening. We're still communicating. We're just doing it better. We're doing it more efficiently, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if someone comes in and pitches an idea, you have to be open to ideas because it may be something a little better and a little more efficient. We can't get stuck in those ways. If you do, then you will surely fall. Your company will surely fail. The companies that have stood the test of time, any product in America, it doesn't matter, any product in the world, has evolved over time. They've taken new ideas, innovative ideas, they stayed with the ways, and they grew through time. Trucking is no different. You have to evolve with time. Just because someone didn't walk uphill to school both ways in the snow like you did doesn't mean they're any less of a person than you are. It just means they do things a little different. They found out how to use a snowmobile instead, right? So
Mm-hmm.
don't bash them for it. That's just the way it is. But companies need to be they need to be constantly evolving, constantly changing, constantly seeking out new ways. You do that, you'll be in business a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You ever get stagnant, it's a kiss of death, man.
Mm-hmm. I love that. We have as one of our core values like a growth mindset, and incorporate that in everything we do. One of the things I was thinking about as you were talking about that, the no excuses part, is I had the opportunity to hear Craig Groeschel speak to a small group of us out in Colorado a couple weeks ago, and he runs that leadership podcast. And I wish I can't remember the exact quote now, but it was like suck it up, fix it. Like we expected like this encouraging like message, like rah rah. It was like no, like if things are hard, like you are equipped, like go fix it. Like if the industry's hard, you can still grow. Like fix it, own it. Like don't and that's even in the marketing industry with budgets being down across the board, and I'm on the marketing side, like we've still grown the past couple of years, not as fast as I would like, based on our goals and however we've grown, and even when we don't like grow relative to our goals, and I still think like when I'm talking with the team, I'm like, look, somebody's going to figure it out. Somebody's going to innovate and grow and gain market share. Like we just, if we haven't done it yet and grown as fast as we would like, we just got to continue to do things differently. Like there is a way. And so just having that, there always is a way mentality. Now that doesn't negate that market conditions, like we've been in a down market for 2 years. Like I'm not negating that and not saying we're falsely positive, but I'm just saying, like, sure, the conditions are that, but what are we going to do about it? How do we innovate? But I agree. I think in any industry, and I think even more so with the, AI and all the different technological advancements, like if you don't implement things and adapt, like your company is going to be obsolete, your services, and that's going to continue to happen faster and faster. And so it's picking the right things to adapt and tracking but yeah, anyway, I love it. Like no excuses, fix it. That's kind of been the message I've had like for the last 2 or 3 weeks is like, let's go. Like, it's okay. Like the market's tight, market's hard, but let's just go. Let's serve. Let's make our culture better. Like you were saying, think about all the improvements y'all have made in the last 2 years.
That's right. If I can get it right, let me think about this. How did I say this? Someone said this to me the other day and it was so true. Talking about AI, and I was talking about, you got to continuously look at different ways and try to get better. I hear a lot of people say, I'm in my mid 40s, and I hear a lot of people say my age and older than me, man, AI is such a scary thing. Oh my gosh, it can do so much. Like, I'm not touching that. Okay, well, look, you got one of two choices right now. You can either choose to get on board and learn how to use it, or you can choose to not use it. If you choose to not use it, you can't get mad when someone does things more efficiently and better than you because they chose to use it. So the person that chooses to use AI and innovate their business and innovate their ways, you can't get mad at them. Those that choose not to use it, AI is going to overtake you. Sorry. You may not agree with it. You may not like it, but you're at a crossroad in your life. You're going to have to learn to either use it or not. It's those that use it that are going to succeed. Just the way it is.
Yep. The field keeps changing. We have to adapt with it.
Yes, it is.
Well, thank you so much, Luke, for your time today. I really appreciate you jumping on. When I chat with my wife later on the phone, I'm going to have a smile. Just think about smiling through the phone.
That's
I
right.
love it.
You can hear a smile, man. You can hear a smile. If you don't believe it, talk to yourself, frown, and say something and say, now, how did that sound? Did that sound happy? It won't.
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard you can hear a frown too. I'm going to have to try that. I have a hard time frowning, but I'll try it.
I challenge you. Try it. It's pretty interesting.
All right. Well, Luke, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us today. Our goal with the Hire Truckers podcast is to provide industry insights, marketing trends, and motivation to level up your recruiting game. If we added value, take a few seconds to share this with your network. Have a great week.